back to my channel. I am going to do a mini playlist, a series about Vietnam. I just got back from Vietnam. I was there for a little bit over a month, and I would say that's like a pretty good amount of time to be in Vietnam, to get to know the cities and to explore. So the reason I wanted to do this is because when I was planning my trip, I was researching and looking at information, I was looking at vlogs, I was trying to figure out what to really do while I was there, and what I found wasn't really speaking to me. So I kind of just went and I figured it out, which is also something that you can do. But for those of you who like to know like what your plan is and what you're doing ahead of time and you're adventurous, then this is like a really good video for you to watch. A video series. It's like a mini series. We're gonna make a playlist out of this. Okay, so for the first part, I'm gonna talk to you about how to get around and like kind of like the tricks and tools that I found and the ways of like transportation. So I flew into Hanoi, and let me tell you, like, I'm not gonna give you specific ways on how to like get around, because you're just gonna figure that out when you get there. You either download Grab and you do taxis, or you walk, or you rent a motorbike. I wouldn't recommend renting a motorbike in cities, but I would say, like, if you want to do a road trip or something like that, definitely rent a motorbike. The north is beautiful. So I would say spend money. Like, you could go from the north to south on a bus or on a train for like less, you know, for like $30 or less. But I would say, like, spend the money, take a flight, or if you're only going like 6 hours or 5 hours away, take a limousine bus. There's a company called Megabus, and these are like the first class of buses. I would definitely recommend spending the extra money. It's really not even that much. It's maybe like $20 instead of $10 US dollars. So take the nice buses if you're gonna take a bus. The trains are disgusting, and the overnight buses are just as bad. So that's basically when they pack you on this, like, it's 3 rows and it's a double decker, and you're basically like laying down in this like recliner seat. But what grossed me out about like the buses is that like they give you, the overnight buses, is one, you can't get sleep because the drivers are crazy in Vietnam, but two, like there's a bunch of people, so there's like a bunch of energy, there's people talking, and also like they rotate these buses around a lot, so there's like blankets and you don't know who else was sleeping in that like spot. They could be really sick. Anyways, it really grossed me out. I would say like the bus is even though I got really sick on the bus is probably better than the train. The train was really gross. I did a 4-person sleeping car, and I think I had like it wasn't even that long. It was a short train ride, maybe like a few hours. And it was smelly. The people who were walking, everybody was sick. People who were walking around like barefoot, and like people were smoking on the train. Like, it was really bad, guys. I would say do a limousine bus. It's a nice air-conditioned bus. You have like maybe 9 to like 15 other people on the bus. And there's like outlets and chargers, and the bus driver is still crazy, but it's like a way better experience, in my opinion. And then also like flying is just the best. It's really easy. Flights are very cheap. They're very inexpensive. You could find a flight for like $50 from the north to south, or anywhere in between. So definitely do that. Service is really good. So I'm huge on service. I love great service. I love to be served. I love when people are like attentive to me. I think I probably might have lived with like a bunch of servants in a past life. I just feel at home when I am being served. Like at nice hotels, when I walk in and people know my name, and they already know what room I'm staying in, and they just like know that I like sparkling water, and so they bring it to me. And this is how Vietnam is everywhere. you will most likely find great service anywhere in Vietnam. People are really concerned about your well-being. With that said though, like if you stay at a nicer hotel or like with more stars, you're gonna get a more customized service. This is the type of services where people, like if you need a motorbike, it will be delivered. If you want to eat dinner at any time, they will find it for you. If you want to eat like at the pool, or if you want to be served somewhere, like they'll just do it for you. If you want to go out to dinner, like an authentic dinner, they'll walk you there or they'll show you how to get there. If you need a recommendation on like a certain like bus service or something, they will find it for you. They will book it for you. They will arrange it for you. If you're leaving early, they'll have like breakfast ready to go for you. Like they're very thoughtful people and they're very service oriented. Now, if you were to speak to a Vietnamese person, they would probably tell you something very different. For some reason, like the experience of a Westerner is different than obviously like Vietnamese in Vietnam, which is very interesting to me. But you also see that it's like community based. So people know each other and they're actually like very helpful towards each other. It's kind of a strange thing. Their perception of themselves is different than what I have experienced and perceived. Hotels and hostels will store your luggage for free. So what a lot of people do in Vietnam is like they'll go to one spot, they'll carry like more stuff, like, you know, there's stuff for like the month, but when you go to like a hotel, you're not going to be there for like a week. You want to, especially people my age, or like I'm like younger than I seem. I'm older than I seem. I like to do the things that like younger people like to do, but I also like to stay in nice places. So people with that adventurous spirit will drop their bags off at their hotel, stay a night, and only take stuff for like a few days and go adventure somewhere. And then they'll come back and they'll get it and they'll move on. So hotels know this about Vietnam. They know this about travelers. They store your luggage for free. Just make sure you bring a lock. So don't really worry. Don't bring a lot of stuff to Vietnam, and make sure you bring an extra bag with you so you can travel light, or you can travel lighter wherever you go, but bring a lock. You don't need a whole lot of stuff to travel in Vietnam. So bring a really small bag, bring an extra one, and then cut whatever you bring in half. You're gonna want to do some shopping, that's no doubt. Like things are really inexpensive and it's fun to like have a shopping experience in Vietnam, get your gifts, whatever. Plus, like a lot of manufacturers are in Hanoi, they're in the north, so you kind of get like all of that, I don't know, like industry up there, like all of the wholesale markets and stuff. So I would say whatever you're bringing, just cut that in half. So lay it all out, cut it in half, leave half of it at home, and just take the rest with you. So you really don't need a whole lot. It's always warm, except if you're in the north and you're traveling during the winter, then you need warm clothes. But I would recommend not really traveling in the winter because it's like rainy and like cold, and it snows actually like up in Sapa and Ha Giang, which I'll get to in my third video when I talk about places to go and adventures to have. But yeah, like you don't need to bring a whole lot of stuff. Laundry service is available and next day service is standard. So you can basically have your clothes washed every other day if you need to. And I highly recommend doing that because doing laundry is really inexpensive. It's like maybe like a couple dollars. Foot massages in Vietnam are actually leg massages. So if you've been like walking for like hours and you want to get a foot massage and you just want your feet massaged, like be very specific about just having your feet massaged. The other thing is like, while massage may be very inexpensive in Vietnam, I would say it's probably not really even worth it to get a massage because it's hard to find a good massage. I would say the Vietnamese are not very good at massaging in general. I got a lot of massages. I got a lot of different types of massages. If you are in the north, La Siesta has like a decent spa. Their massage is like hit or miss. And then if you're in the south, like Phu Quoc, I stayed at Mango Resort, and their massages were probably the best that I've ever gotten in Vietnam. So if you want a good massage, go there or go to La Siesta and then cross your fingers. Get eyelash extensions. It's so inexpensive. It's like $30 and they make your trip like so much easier. I did a blog post about this already. We can link it in or we can add it to the playlist. So Jose, whenever you're quoted a price for something to buy in Vietnam, just like make sure you reduce it by at least 10% because they're always like overquoting. They expect you to haggle, and if you don't haggle, that's your problem. Basically, there's a night market in every city. Some of them are worth going to and some of them aren't. I don't know, it's part of the culture. Like, if you want to go check it out, if you've been to one night market, you've kind of been to all of them, unless it's the Hanoi one, because that night market is probably the least night market-y in Vietnam. I don't know why. It's like a big city and it's very Vietnamese, but their night market is like not so great. I would say the best night market though is in Hoi An. Like, if you're gonna go to a night market, go to the one in Hoi An. No joke. Like, that one was phenomenal. I think I said this in another post, but like, if you're not a very trusting person, it's going to be hard for you to travel through Vietnam because everything is done by word of mouth and like handshake agreements. So like, if you want to get somewhere and like takes money from you and then tells you to be at some certain location at a certain time, like, you're gonna have to trust that they're like being honest and that you're gonna be able to get on that bus that you don't have a ticket for. And you just gave money to somebody and you don't know how this is all going to work out. So like, for me, Vietnam really helped me develop my trust in like people and in the universe, because I'm very like controlling in a way that I need like to see the paperwork and I need to have a receipt, and like, I don't know that this person at this hotel, I don't know how they talk to each other or how they get the money from each other. And so, you know, like, as a Westerner going to Vietnam and like handing money to one person without getting a receipt and then being able to like get on a bus to go somewhere was like kind of nerve-wracking for me. But after it happened so many times, I just like, okay, this is how the economy works, this is how the culture works, so I'll just trust in it and trust that I'll get to where I need to go. So I would say, like, if you're going to be an adventurer, which, like, if you're adventuring in Vietnam, you're probably a more trusting person in general. There are a lot of like people who go to Vietnam and don't do adventurous stuff. They're like the people who go to the city and bring like a tour guide with them, or go on just like the TripAdvisor tours and stuff like that. But I like to see the real like country, and I probably didn't even do that as best as I could. Basically, there's no rules and like no offenses in Vietnam. Nothing is personal. Everybody takes like more personal responsibility for their actions and for their belongings and things like that. So like, don't go there thinking that like if you get in trouble or something, like it's your fault. Basically, if you do something wrong, it's your fault. And that's how the economy and how the culture runs. It's more personal responsibility rather than putting it on the government or on the state or on the like officials or on anybody else. So just like go there knowing that if you choose to do something or if you do something, you can't blame somebody else for it if it goes wrong, because that's just not how things work there. So I was actually kind of worried about being a tourist in Vietnam because I've never really been to a country alone without knowing the language and having all of like that. But I'd say Vietnam is probably one of the easiest places I've ever traveled to. It's set up for tourism. Now, I don't know how they do this, but it's probably part of their local culture. It moves in a way that I guess supports tourism, but it's really easy to travel. So they have a Latin written language, so they can pretty much read and write English words. So it's not like China where you would go and you can't give like the English address to the taxi driver because they don't read the same type of characters. It's really easy to travel in Vietnam. It's easy to get to where you need to go. There's a lot of ways to do it, and it's like relatively inexpensive. So I would say those are, I guess, like my tips and like realizations and stuff about Vietnam specifically. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to do a mini hotel review that is of all of the hotels that I stayed at. And then I'm going to do travel tips. And then I'm going to do a adventure. So stay tuned for more. I'll let you know what I've done in Vietnam. I'll show you pictures and things that you need to do and things that you can maybe skip. So hopefully you find this Vietnam tour travel guide playlist beneficial. So stay tuned for more, and thank you for watching.